Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you for joining us on another episode of today's Electrical Estimating. I'm your co-host, Chris Trommer, and today we're going to be wrapping up our series on tariffs. Luckily, we've had Keith with us for the last 6 episodes. Today, we're just going to sort of bookend this, and Keith's going to give us some insight into what we can be using to stay knowledgeable on tariffs moving forward. So how are we going to keep up with the changes that may be coming? What we can be doing on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to stay knowledgeable on whatever does occur. So we appreciate you listening throughout this series. If you missed one, please feel free to jump back into them. And if this is your first time joining us, we'd love for you to subscribe. We're going to be rolling out new episodes in the very near future. So again, thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy. Well, it's come to that time. My closing question for you. We've gone through a lot here. We've talked a lot before. There's a lot going on. I don't think we can really nail it down to just one question. And I don't want to do a summary that we just go through everything because I'll probably get lost. And I've been talking to you for the last hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions right now about tariffs. We've tried to do our part in the past. I mean, obviously other people have, but the internet's a hell of a place and AI is a hell of a thing as well. And I think so much gets flooded out, excuse me, losing my voice now, into the internet where people just start believing so much stuff and it's not as true as it can be, but you also at the same time don't really feel like you can believe anybody with what they say. It could be a traditional news agency down to your Uncle Ted. I think everybody's sort of lost that I believe what somebody says kind of thing. If we have to break down this whole conversation, we started with the beginning of what should we talk about for the last 365 days. We've sort of reviewed what's happened the last 365 days. We've gone into how it may affect the future and what's occurring. What would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about tariffs for our industry, for construction, for distribution, manufacturing? What's the biggest misconception that's might be out there for them around tariffs? And how can we, what's, I'm trying to find the word, but I guess what can be said to actually say, this is the biggest misconception, but here's, in my opinion, since we value your opinion, my understanding of what this is the truth about this misconception.
I think people, I don't know if it's a misconception, but I think where people make a mistake is not going in and really trying to understand it, trying to understand the impact, whether you're the importer of record or not. You need to understand the role the tariffs are playing in your day to day, right? And it's probably worth a conversation with your supplier to say, where the materials coming in from, if you can tell me that. And I think what I learned last year was that so many people just were at the beholden grace of whoever they were working with, and if that firm wanted to go throw a 20% tariff on them, they just accepted it and rolled it on and passed it on if they could, absorbed it if they could, But I don't think they went back and had those conversations to say, "Hey, I really want to check on the role of tariffs on this particular product. Where is it inbound from? If you can tell me that. If you can't tell me that, what percentage of this price is tariff related?" And I think that's an honest question, right? I think that's the relationship that you have, and I think people just need to understand it enough because I think it's too easy for people to say, "Well, I had one client, for instance, that just assumed that he had a 35 or 40% tariff because they stacked." What he learned was that they don't, but it was his obligation to tell Customs and Border Patrol basically what the tariff was, what he should be paying instead of the reverse.
Yeah.
So if you're eligible for a USMCA exclusion on a product, it should run tariff free. You should
Mhm.
know enough to be able to go and ask, "Hey, is this 100% content USMCA? If so, why am I paying a tariff?"
Yeah.
And so I think we have to become a little more knowledgeable about that. The nice thing is we have the tools to do it now. All of you have access to some AI agent of some kind, some AI tool. I don't care what it is. I have my preference, but go in and ask it very honestly. Go to the source. In other words, go to, the CBT or whoever it is, go to the original source explain to me how the tariff would stack or work on this particular item,
Mhm.
and from this country. And you'll get your answer in 30, 35 seconds. Interrogate it a little bit, go back and forth with it. I do that all the time. Don't take its first answer, ask it questions back. Pretend like it's the smartest graduate student you've ever talked to sitting across from you. They still need guidance. They still need you to probe them. They still need you to ask them tough questions. But ask them that questions and go through a little bit of a dialogue with it, and you'll get to an answer that's pretty solid. And then you can kind of use that as you go, think through and talk to your suppliers and everyone else.
So I'm guessing from all this, and I'm just summarizing, is to just stay educated.
Yeah.
It seems like when tariffs came out, I remember seeing in certain publications, they were putting out weekly tariff updates. Distributors were sending out tariff lists on products that they sold, and people were writing tariff stories. Shit, we did our tariff podcast. Excuse my language, but I mean,
Yeah. Right.
we didn't really
Right.
talk about it because we felt let's give it time and see what happened. And then that time went longer instead of the 6 months because nobody knew what was happening. But it seemed like there was a big influx in the beginning. Educate people, talk about tariffs, scare them about tariffs, whatever it was about tariffs. We talked about tariffs. Then it sort of all died down to where I don't get those same weekly updates. I don't get monthly updates. We're not talking about it. American culture, we're very adept to, hey, there's something shiny and new. And then once we beat the hell out of it and talk about it enough, we go, hey, something shiny and new down the hallway over there. And then we just freaking forget about it.
Yeah.
So, I guess this is my long winded way of getting around to a point of people should really just still be, especially in the construction industry, staying on top of this, right? They should still, like you said, with AI checking in. We talked about it before, AI prompt to check in on tariff and trade violations that could impact you, of having a prompt that you can just kick in once a week to see if there's any upcoming red flags, or AI to go through your contractual obligations with either, importer or supplier, if it was a manufacturer, if it was a distributor, whoever, to see if there was tariff stuff in there. AI can be a great tool, but it can also help them learn and stay up to date, because it seems like everybody had their opinions. Everybody talked their stuff on the internet. Everybody said everything, and then everybody just shut up and moved on. And we've had so much that has fluctuated over the last year, and we're not done yet. Obviously, it's 4 months. We're going to have these new set of tariffs. It's really just to stay educated. Is that the thing? It's not, there's one line that you can give me that's a big misconception. There's a crap load of misconceptions. So just do your part and try to stay educated. And if you're a guy on a ladder installing something, if you're a guy doing accounting in an office, or if you're a distributor working the counter, just keep yourself up to date, because it seems like tariffs can play a big part in the construction industry overall.
Abs Absolutely, and, you can go through a press conference if you wanna go sit and listen to the president talk in a press conference. He may go back and forth 2 or 3 times in that press conference,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that to knock him at all. I'm just saying it's a dynamic, volatile environment that he's working in, and so what you can rely on, though, is what the current rule is. The current
Yeah.
rule is gonna be logged at Customs and Border Protection or whatever, and so based on that, you're gonna go in and wanna go through the AI tool and find out what's the rule today,
Yeah,
you know?
what's what? Stay
Yeah.
informed, let yourself, I mean, knowledge is always a base, and with AI, as we talked about before, it could take you 2 seconds. You could be sitting on the couch
Yeah.
during halftime and in between innings, so opening day last night, and just say, "Hey, what's going on? Give me an update of tariffs once a week."
Yeah.
And even if you're just a guy stalling, whatever it may be, it's good for people to, I think, understand up and down the channel how tariffs are gonna affect them. Because, like, as you pointed out, tariffs just don't affect the product in one way. Tariffs affect the inflation that affects us differently, that affects this and it affects that. It's all a big ecosystem that's all playing off of each other. Tariffs are only playing a single part, but understanding these is very important for everybody in their day to day, of how it may affect their living, their job, their livelihood moving forwards.
Yeah, if you ever have an opportunity, it's kinda interesting, but if you wanna go have a stimulating intellectual conversation, go talk to a farmer. Because one of the things, I can sit down at a coffee shop with a farmer, and they can give me a run for my money on anything geopolitical, tax related, tariff related, or anything, and the difference is that culture studies. That
Mm.
culture goes out, and when they have time, they're on the internet and they're learning, and they just wanna learn about things that affect their world, and I think in the, electrical contractor industry and the construction industry, we should be doing the same thing, and culturally, I don't know if that's necessarily in the cards. I mean, we're busy. You're working 12, 13-hour days sometimes and still don't have enough time in the day. But, there are ways to go make sure that you stay educated and stay up on things. Like you said, Chris, I mean, it's, 35 seconds with the right tool and knowing how to use it, and you're updated, you know?
I mean, I've asked AI stupid questions before, and it terrible. Not even. I mean, sometimes people might feel like you have to know these prompts to talk to AI. You
No,
don't. You
no,
don't. Just
no.
log in and say, "I'm an electrician. This is what I do. How are tariffs or how's the market affecting my livelihood right now?" And just tell me 3 quick notes of how it might affect my job. Just pop out 3 things. Well, like you said, the bond yield is going up, new home construction might be going down, data centers are flourishing, and this other thing. And then you got your update, but at least you stay in the know and you can see exactly what's going on in your industry. You can stay in the know and you can see how it's going to affect your job moving forward. It's like you said, you might be locked in with this great data center for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. You're good. You might
Yeah,
not care what happens in 6 years.
yeah.
But the guy that doesn't have that might be worrying about what's going to be happening future in the future, and staying up to date with a quick update here and there could be really beneficial for them.
Absolutely, and even if you can go specific, like, you get an invoice, and on that invoice, there's one line item for one product, and you see a surge in that price, and you can't explain it, you can go into AI and say, "Why is a such and such condenser up this much this week?" And it'll
Yeah.
come back, and it'll tell you what it knows,
Right.
and it
Yeah,
yeah,
fact check the hell out of the guys you said came in and said 20% increase because of tariffs and they never paid a tariff.
yeah,
Use your AI and go, "Hey, do these idiots pay tariffs?" And find out and get your damn money back.
exactly.
It's an easy tool, and I think we're not trying to push AI, but I think
No,
we're trying to say that AI is a good tool to stay educated about tariffs that give you a basic understanding so you're more aware of what's happening and the industry as a whole moving forwards. The more you're educated, the more you know about these outside factors that are affecting it, the better off you can feel moving forwards. I mean, even if it's the weight off your shoulder, you know that we're not looking at a recession that's going to cut construction jobs. Everything's going to go on hold.